to Shiny Pretty Podcast. I am here with this handsome gentleman. Look at that face. Who wouldn't want to talk to this face? The amazing Lawrence Raysor. Raysor?
Raysor.
Raysor. I apologize. Yes. People butcher my name, and I didn't want to do it, and I did it anyway. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. It took a minute. It was a journey, right? It was we had to cross the oceans and the sea to get to get.
But like you said, life happens, right? And I really appreciated you saying that. It does actually happen, and we're not in as much control as we like to think. So I appreciate you understanding that.
And once we understand that, the more you try to control it, the more out of control it will be. You cannot control, and we have to give each other grace, right? Exercise grace, because things happen. Life happens. We all have, either we have a family that I take care of, work is crazy, whatever that may be, but life happens. And so you have to exercise grace. And I was like, you know what, if you can't, because just our conversation, everybody gonna be in your business right now. Our conversation, I'm like, listen, do you just need to do this another day?
Yeah. I tend to take on a lot because I care and because I'm about commitments. And so I just really wanted to honor that commitment. And I found out soon thereafter, after we had planned to have it done, that we were already booked for a tournament in North Carolina. So I actually volunteer and assistant coach for my youngest son's team. And, you would think a bunch of 8-year-olds is not this serious, but it's pretty serious. And they've won 4 out of about 5 tournaments this year. So this was another big deal. And this was to qualify for nationals. So I really thank you for being understanding.
And listen, I'm an extremely forgiving person. Now, if you did it more, because I've had to recently keep rescheduling a one particular guest, and I felt bad because I never do that. And I just feel like, oh my gosh, it's unprofessional. I try to keep things professional and streamlined and consistent. But life happens. Yes. But it's not about me today. It's not about me today. Lawrence, it's not about me. It's about you. You are like extraordinary. You're doing a lot. And so saying that you spread yourself thin because you're an educator, right?
Yeah.
You have a podcast, okay? You're a dedicated father, right? You have an online magazine, right?
Yes.
You just published a book.
Yes, actually.
Mentor. Oh, I'm not done. Let me do this. You're a mentor, okay? Author, mentor, coach, and also you have a podcast. And people in the podcast world know and understand how difficult it is. It's not a part-time thing when you're serious. It's a full-time thing. So you're a dad's full-time. Education, you have those students as well. That's full-time. Your mentor, that's full-time. So you have a lot on your plate. But clearly you are a person of giving, of service, of caring for others. So come on. We've been talking. People are like, who is this man? So tell me, who are you?
Well, after that intro, thank you. I am Lawrence Raysor. I think the best way to describe it first and foremost is a dedicated father. A lot of what I do is geared towards providing an environment as well as a path for my 3 sons. I have 11-year-old twins, London Anthony and Lyric Alexander, and I also have an 8-year-old son, Liam Amor. They're all the LA boys. As you can even see, when you look at, and we'll get to this in a second, but the LaBoyz Presents, we're about just building for the boys. And this family is dedicated to the boys. And so I've sort of created a community around me, or around myself rather, that is dedicated to its children. And so I'm all about whatever keeps the children safe and the children progressing. So it started off with me teaching. And in teaching, I just became so embedded in the community that I wanted to do more, and building relationships and constantly getting encouragement from the same families that I've been encouraging. My confidence started to build up a little more, and I started to speak out a little more. And so from that, I got together with my partner, Erin, and we decided we were going to do something for the basketball community, since I was coaching in there and all of our sons were playing basketball in that community. And we wanted to highlight some of the people we were encountering. And so we decided to put together an online magazine that not only showcased people who had talent, but people who had drive and love and ambition and just had the will to make something happen, to create and add to the community. And it took off. And from there, just in trying to highlight these people, we not only built relationships, we started to build a little network. And the basketball community really started to come out and celebrate, especially the way I grew up in New York City. I grew up in New York City basketball. I was in the parks, and you got your name in the parks, right? And the Mecca, New York. And as I got older, I realized, a lot of the kids and the people were leaving the scene and they were going elsewhere where opportunities were plentiful, and it just wasn't the same in New York. So we wanted to bring back some of that love. So some of the faces you'll see on our site are just people who are of the fabric of New York City basketball in the tri-state area. And you don't have to have 50 a game or be dunking all over the place or be super popular. You just have to be a part of the community, a strong part of the community, and adding to it, right? So from there, we just started surrounding ourselves with love, and a podcast blossomed from it because people wanted to hear more about our journey and how we work together and how we even came upon this idea. And then from there, both of our confidences just skyrocketed. And now she's doing her own thing, and I'm over here working on, I published a book. Like, first of all, I never thought I would publish a book. And we can get into that in a little bit, but I published a book.
Lawrence. You're giving me a lot. Let's talk about it. I mean, we're not going to end in 5 minutes. Okay. No, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this.
Yes.
Because you have a lot of energy. Okay. I love what you're doing. So I really want to dissect. Let's get into all that you do.
All right. Where should we start?
I mean, can you slow down? So let's start with you. So you're born and raised in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball culture, we've seen it on television. I'm in the South. I'm in Texas. But I have family out there in New York. And so the culture for basketball is big across the United States, but it's different when you have that street ball in New York. You see it all the time. We've seen movies about it. And it's a different type of culture. That 3-on-3 or 5-on-5, whatever it may be, is a different culture. So you grew up in that. You saw that. So you didn't wake up one day when you had your boys and all of this and say, this is what I want to do. What were you doing beforehand? Because you're a teacher, you're in education. Yes. That takes a special kind of heart and mind to do that first. Mm-hmm. Because you have those students are your kids as well. Yep. So what made you, when you were growing up, what did you want to do at first? And how did you end up teaching?
That's a great question. So the NBA, it was the NBA or bust, right? I was strictly all about basketball. But I didn't know there was some other necessary steps to get to the NBA that didn't just involve playing. You had to network, you had to play in the right places, you had to play in front of the right people. And I didn't have any of those connections. I was a street ball kid. So I just get up, and my friends and I, we traveled to different parks, and we built our reputation on the street. And one thing about being a kid playing street ball is you play with a lot of adults. And in learning to play with adults, especially in pickup basketball, you learn dynamics, and you don't even realize you're getting that education, and you learn to make things work. And I was a point guard. So my job was to make sure everybody was taken care of on the court offensively, and then to be a leader and, like the coach on the floor. And learning that in street ball is a little different than learning it in the gym, because in the gym, you're learning systems, but in the street, you're learning people. Right. So I at a very young age, I was learning people. And I also saw there were some older guys who took to me and looked out for me. And there were some older guys who were, jerks, and you had to be watchful for. And I always wanted to pass that on. I wanted to make sure children felt safe around me, because I understood how important it was for me to be out in that street by myself while my mother was at work and I'm playing ball. And then these older guys are looking out for me, giving me advice and checking in on me about schoolwork and stuff like that. So as the NBA stopped being like a potential reality, I was still in the Boys Club of New York. And in the Boys Club of New York, shout out to Brad Zervas, one of my mentors. One of their main premises was to get us into prep schools and to get us opportunities that enabled us to check out careers before college and check out careers before college was over. So I worked for the Boys Club.
Give you options besides the dream of MBA. Let's have the dream.
Right.
But there's so many with that same dream, and not knocking that dream. But
Right.
you also need to have someone in your life to show you, okay, let's say you make it to the NBA, what's going to happen after the NBA? Or what you're going to, you got to get to college. I mean, some didn't, some got right out of high school, those whole other stories. But you have to have someone to guide you into knowing that there's other things besides that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so the Boys Club of New York allowed me to work with Camp Cromwell, which was a sleepaway school camp for all boys. Now you can imagine this is a middle school setting in a sleepaway school camp, and all the New York boys are getting bussed out to like Somerset, New Jersey or something like that. And I was a camp counselor for 2 summers in a row. And I gave that job everything I had. Meeting those young boys, it changed my life. And I wanted to do more for my younger brothers. And so that just became my thing in the summers. Like, don't ask me what I'm doing during the summer. I'm going to work with the kids. And from there, it was like a no-brainer. You're going to teach. And I've been teaching ever since I got out of undergrad. So I've been teaching. This is my 16th year I'm completing now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Listen, I highly respect teachers. Anyone in education, y'all are a special breed who really want to do it. Not doing it because I need to teach in this area to get my financial aid taken care of or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, you have a heart to teach because it's a year-round job. It's a year-round thing, and you're getting students sometimes who are prepared and who are not, who have support at home and who may not, you know what I mean? And who have troubles, they don't know how to express them, and some who do. So you're a counselor, you're a teacher, you're a parent, you're all those things. And of course, your upbringing with basketball, learning people, the camps, leading those, being a mentor, so you have already prepared yourself, like you said, in that to do what you're doing. So were you coaching? Are you coaching in high school? You high school, junior high? What grades do you teach?
I'm in middle right now. I teach 6th and 7th grade histoy.
They're right out of elementary, huh? Ooh.
Middle school is a special case. I can't tell you how many years we hear at parent teacher conferences. I don't know who my child is anymore, right? Because that's that year they switched. But I thought it was an important year because that was around the same time I had the switch. But I had the switch during a transition my parents were having too. So as my parents were separating, I was going through that switch, and I didn't feel like anyone was there for me, which is what I felt, right? But of course, at that age, you push people away too. So I wanted to be the kind of person that you didn't feel like you ever had to push away. And in fact, you'd probably come to if you needed something, because I didn't have that, right? And not for lack of trying. My mother tried therapy. My mother tried getting my uncles and her talking to me, but I wanted my dad, right? And at the time, my dad didn't want to be there. So that's a tough situation to put a teenager in. And there are teenagers, young teenagers, budding teenagers who go through way worse. And I have to imagine all the time, like, who's looking out for them in a way that they understand.
But don't take away that, they're going through way worse, but your story is your story.
Yes, ma'am.
Your journey is your journey. So let's not take away from that, because as we all know, because we've both been through 5th to 6th grade, elementary is one thing. That junior high experience, because now you're coming into a different kind of puberty.
Oh yeah.
The schools are bigger. You're starting to figure out a lot of things, who you are personality wise, sexually. You're now playing sports. If you didn't play sports like in summer and those leagues, you're doing it now. You're figuring out what you want to do. Your body is changing. Either as a young man, you had a growth spurt. You might went from being the shortest kid in class to now the tallest, lanky kid in class, whatever that may be. And, we go through a lot. And to have that happen, and then the separation of your parents when it's needed most. I would say elementary, we're cling to our mothers a lot as young men, not us, but you, because that's nurture. You're still a kid. But junior high, you have to learn different things. So now you rely more on dad for sports, for this kid mess with me. What I need to lay hands, what I need to do, how to be young women, huh?
All of that is so important into forming the male identity, right? And then you've got to remember, I'm 38, so I was coming up in middle school in mid 90s we were inundated with that Superman complex. Like the black man had to be the ladies' man. He had to be the tough guy. He had to be invincible. He could catch bullets in his teeth, And so I'd have all these situations, and remember, I'm in the street now because I'm playing street ball. So summertime, I'm in the street from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. if I want to be, right? Because what else am I going to do? There's no summer camp at a certain age. So we're out all day navigating like young men with no real guidance. And as dangerous as that sounds to me now, I didn't think it was dangerous then. I just thought it was normal.
Because you had your friends, though, and you're playing ball. So you're just thinking I'm playing ball. You're playing with adults.
Right.
Giving you life. You don't realize they're giving you life lessons. Like, you may be a kid, but I'm still going to handle you on this court. How you going to handle yourself?
Oh, but we saw some things. We saw some things. Yeah, you know what I mean? And you sheltered. Right. And so like you need some guidance there. You can't some of this stuff needs to be filtered and processed, and we stuff it down and we build bravado on top of it as though nothing's wrong. Right. And we expect that not to come out, and then it comes out. And so I needed some fatherly love, and coming up without it, I was a wild child. I was definitely a wild child. My mother will tell you that she didn't know what to do with me at one point. And, I bet.
How long did your wild child phase last?
Oh, wow. No one's ever asked me that before. I would say this is bad. So I would say from age 12 to about 25.
What?
Yeah. I was also, what else didn't help? I was a rapper from age 16 to about age 32.
Why did that not help?
Because living in that lifestyle, you tend to get pigeonholed into certain portrayals of yourself, which limit your growth. And people tend to expect you to meet their expectations of what you are at your most entertaining value, right? So you can't necessarily blossom into something else if this is not what we came here for. Right. So if we met you and you were slapping people in the club and you were threatening people, that's what we came to see. And we can't see you making a better you of yourself, because that's not what we're about. And that's another reason why I got out of it, because why can't I express myself completely when I'm the artist? Right. So that's another reason I never thought I'd put out a poetry book, because to me, poetry was soft. That's what I was raised thinking, even though I used to write my poetry when no one was looking. Right. But then why am I hiding myself? I got to a point where I was like, why am I hiding myself? For whom?
So let me ask you, let's go back, because your dad didn't want to be around during the time of the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a pivotal time. You're 11, 12, entering junior high. So you're that preteen going into your teens, okay? And you're wilding out.
Yeah.
You're seeking mentorship. You're seeking some male type of guidance. You can't rely on the people on the basketball court. Your friends are the same age as you, right? And many people don't want to intrude. If they see you need help, they don't want to really intrude, because you never know how that's going to be taken.
Right.
During that time of seeking guidance, did anyone guide you or help you, be it positive or negative? Yeah, you started rapping at 16, right? But was there anyone that you can look back on and say, that was kind of my grounding person? I may have not always listened, but that was someone trying to help me out.
I can think of several men who tried to step in, and Brad Zervas was one of them. This is age 16. We were on our way upstate New York. So I played on a traveling basketball team for the Academic All-Stars for the Boys Club of New York. It was called the Academic All-Stars. And the premise was to show off this basketball talent to the prep schools along the Northeast and the Southeast, so that these basketball talents could acquire basketball scholarships for prep schools. I'm on this team, and I don't even necessarily think I belong on this team, because these guys are amazing. They've obviously had way more training than I've had. Come to find out, he had me on this team because he had visions of sending me to the Cate School in California, which is a major prep school, which was ranked like top 3 in the country, because he didn't have anybody else who could do it mentally. So I'm already a little, reckless. I'm angry. You know, I'm a wild child, and so I spit fire when I talk. And he told everybody to shut up on the van because he was trying to do something, and we were arguing. And he told everybody to shut up. And of course, me being the smallest guy on the team, I don't take it lightly at all. We go back and forth, and he will tell anybody till this day he still cannot believe this little guy stood toe to toe with him. But that's what I needed him to be able to take in order for me to respect him. So the fact that he actually could handle that meant, all right, okay. And that's what I started to understand about myself and then understand about other young guys. It's like, we want someone that can put us in our place, but we're going to put them through hell trying to get them to do that because we don't have anybody we can trust and look up to.
So you take that as, I'm going to test his will.
That's
and
what
he
that
can
was.
take this. But I call that also a cry for help.
Oh, yeah.
You want somebody to put you in your place.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
because testing doesn't always work.
No, but that's the way it's supposed to be, right? Like I know who I am as a young man in terms of like where I sit in society. I know I shouldn't be able to just walk around and do whatever I want, but who gonna check me, right? And so that person that does check you, you say, oh, okay. And I've had to be that person for so many young men. And then I sit down and I tell them, what are we really about to solve by putting our hands on each other? What else do I have to show you or tell you to prove to you I'm still here despite the fact that you're talking to me like this? I'm still talking to you positively, still trying to love you. I'm still offering you hugs. What's up? You know, and sometimes they need to hear that, like, you what? And you're like, what's up? Because they need to know that somebody won't turn around and walk away. Somebody will be the wall, you know, and I was embarrassed to say that before, but now, you know, it's part of my journey. And I'm glad I learned that way because now I can help other young men the same way.
So let me ask you. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, so there were other men, you know, who tried. It was just, I put people through hell trying to prove that they love me.
I can tell. I can tell. I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell. But that's the journey you had to take. So now when they put you through hell, you understand it. You may be like, dang, karma is a beast, but you understand, oh, it's real.
Oh, I'm living with karma. I have 3 young versions of me. Oh yeah. Oh that's yeah. Mama said it. Mama said you're gonna find out. You're gonna learn when you get older.
This is great. This is love. This is good stuff. This is good. This is great. Yeah, because I'd be that person like, this is amazing.
She just shakes her head.
No. Yeah. Oh, you don't remember when? Oh, let me pull the book out. Let me check on date and on this day. Yeah, at age whatever. Yep. So you was wild until 25.
Yeah.
Which honestly isn't bad because you have some who are still wilded. You have some people still have not found that peace. Mm-hmm. But you knew you wanted to take that and use it to help others, and you went into education. So you put aside the MBA dream. Yeah. But you knew, I mean, and that's hard for you to do that because some people don't put the dream away.
You're right.
But you used it into let me go into education and to teach history because I'm a history major, sociology major as well. That's different because as an educator, you're restricted by a curriculum that you have to teach.
Yes and no.
Right? Yes and no, but call it what it is.
But yes. But yes.
Mm. But yes. You know, but yes. Okay. So you have that. And so you're shaping young minds at that critical age. You're meeting them where you're getting students right where you were at that what the hell moment in your life. Mm-hmm. All that's going on. When did you start taking it outside the classroom into mentoring outside of that and building a different kind of relationship with your students and also men who need you?
So when I was at, I started my career at George Jackson Academy downtown on 8th Street and 1st Avenue in Manhattan. It's an all boys private school for young minority males who excel in the classroom, but come from, you know, less privileged backgrounds. And it had been suggested that I could do more for a population that was not necessarily the private school population. So I went to the KIPP school, and at the KIPP school in Harlem on 123rd Street, I started to do more because I saw that there needed to be more done. And a big part of, so this I have to say, a big part of my career, you know, as you talk about what it takes to be a teacher, another thing it takes to be a teacher who cares is to be a bit rebellious, which that's right up my alley, right?
Yeah.
I've been rebellious my entire career. I have flat out just said no. I've flat out said you guys don't know what you're doing. And that's because I'm in there. I'm in those relationships with those children. I'm in those relationships with those family. I'm in the homes. I'm in the street. I'm at the sports events. I'm at the dance events. I'm there. So I understand this child from a 360 view and not just this we teach you learn type of deal, right? And I also understand that this relationship is not just a one-way street. I'm supposed to be getting educated too. And if I'm not, then I need to get out of this business, right? So you have to be rebellious enough. That's why I said the curriculum, yes and no. All right. Because because I'm going to push back anyway. But you have to be rebellious enough to see the child. And a lot of times you get people in here who come in for career moves and they see the dollars, they see the advancement, they see the protocol, they see adhering, but they don't see the child. No one sees the child. And so I sit in these meetings and I let it go. And sometimes people don't like to see me coming because of it. But in doing that, I realized no one was looking out for the child. And so I started to do more. And I originally started to do more through my own basketball team, which I turned into like a fraternity because my alumni would come back and help me out. And we built our own little program to the point where in May and June, I've got open gyms in the middle of the week and on Friday nights where the gym is packed with like 50 to 75 young Black males and young Black ladies and Latinos who could be on the street, but they're in the gym. Some of them are not even playing. They just want to be there because Raysor invited them. You understand? And
now,
so
what is that? Is that LaBoyz? Is that LaBoyz?
LaBoyz. So LaBoyz is a nickname that I gave my sons and me because we all have the same initials, LAR. So I'm Lawrence Anthony, and then there's Lyric Alexander, there's London Anthony, and there's Liam Amor. And what I did was I took the nickname and I turned it into sort of like a badge of honor. And I could use it to say, would an LA boy do this? We are the LA boys. What do we represent? Who do we want to be? And so when it comes time to reflect on certain behaviors, I would ask you, would an LA boy do that? And we have these discussions. And we are literally creating our own prototype of what a man should be together. And so we call it the LA Boys. And so Raysor is my last name. And so LA Boy Raysor, it just became how people knew me because they always were like, all right, we're the LA Boys, you know, because I was always with my sons. So that just became that.
So let me ask you this quick question. Are you afraid of the pressures that may carry on your sons? Because you have the pillars, you're creating, because you're creating what you didn't have, right? So do you find it difficult to create what you did not see? And if the answer is no, okay. If the answer is yes, what did you use as your framework for what you are saying a LA boy is?
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
It is difficult. It's difficult for reasons that people may not assume. I am very much I'm an artist, so I'm into allowing the free flow. I believe nature is about free flow and balance, right? So the thing about raising 3 sons is it's about a balance. I'm about that free flow. I want to create a safe space for you guys to explore, but y'all also gonna act right, right? And so there's that balance there. Is like, listen, we can have these discussions. Do you not like the way I spoke to you? Do you not understand why you have this consequence? And then I'll push you. So why do we even need a consequence? What are we going for? So we go way more in depth than just the surface. You know, I'm the judge with the gavel. It is what it is. And we agreed this is what it was. So no, there are negotiables. There are conversations because I want my sons to be able to advocate for themselves, but I also want them to understand how conversations work. Reading energy. I give them a very realistic experience. Plus, I'm a teacher. So how dare I not give them what I'm giving someone else's child? So I do take off that dad hat sometimes and I say, let's just talk, man. And you don't have to worry about the words you use. Just spit it out, whatever you feel, and we'll deal with whatever's in the middle. So it's a balance. It comes with a lot of
love. How hard is that for you? Because I'm not a parent. Okay, I got god babies, I have nieces and nephews, and they test me on a regular basis and they understand. Not today.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you, um, you give so much to your students and who you mentor, the kids that the young men and women that are a part of your organization. You have 3 young men. So you have to also pour into them. Where's your struggle? What's the struggle for you?
My struggle is in, and this is just me being candid. My struggle is in resentment. I'm sorry, not resentment. A lack of appreciation, and that's a struggle for me because I need to come away from it and I need to understand it better, which is what I've been working on in the past couple of months. I need to understand that they're not coming from the same deprived place that I'm coming from. They're coming from a very privileged place. They're coming on the other side of success. And so I can't sit here and expect them to recognize what they would be missing out on if I wasn't putting in the effort. Right? That's a bit ridiculous of me to expect these 11-year-olds and this 8-year-old to understand that, oh, my dad could have gone somewhere else. My dad had other options, or I could be living without my dad because I've always been there. So how dare I expect them to know what that would feel like or what that would mean? So that's kind of dumb, but it's also very natural. So I'm trying to come away from it because what it leads to is when I come home from a long day of working and networking and volunteering, and either you have an attitude about something I don't know about, or something I asked you to do is not done. I can't believe you couldn't complete this one task when I've completed 100, and my father would have worn my tail out if I didn't. Right. So I had to learn that the way I'm raising them is not the way I was raised, and that's okay. I can take from it what I need, but the rest I should leave behind because they're different people and this is a different time.
How long did it take you to get there?
Girl, telling you, I'm still getting there.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, because you don't, like I said, like you don't understand how your normal develops. Like your normal really does dictate your perspective, and you don't know you're wearing a lens.
Listen, your frame of reference is your frame of reference. And that to me is one of the biggest downfalls in our community, because we may have the same skin color, skin tone, be from the same place, be in the same house, but my frame of reference is totally different than yours.
Yes.
My struggle, my battle is different. And all of our children right now are coming from a place of privilege. No matter what, they are having it better than we did.
Way better.
In some kind of way. It's there. It's automatic, right? It's better. And the mistake that I think a lot of parents make is, I'm going to do and give what I did not have.
Right.
And the kids never know your story. They don't understand that and then we get mad when they don't appreciate it, but did you teach them appreciation?
Right.
Did they see it?
Right.
For us, gifts were when you earned it because you did well, you've earned that. Not because you did what you're supposed to do. Washing dishes, cleaning up was not, you didn't get gifts for that. That's what you need. You have to live a neat life.
You need that skill. You need it, right? I said you need that skill.
You need that skill, and we're not teaching our kids skills. So now we're mad about it. We vex. We upset. These kids don't have these skills. But I love the fact that we are also the generation of, and it's a new thing for me. I think it's new for all of us, into wellness and understanding that these little humans have emotions and have feelings. And it's okay to let them express themselves, but you have to teach them how to express themselves. It's not okay to be ugly and rude and belligerent, but you express yourself, but there's a way to do it.
Right.
There's a way to do it.
I agree with you. And I think it becomes, and it has become, very dangerous to stifle the expression of these little people who have very real emotions and very real needs to get these emotions out. And if we don't offer them a platform or a space, and then offer them the language is necessary, we're doing them a disservice, a huge disservice. And I feel like it then comes back to haunt us, because now we're asking them once they become the more powerful in the species, right? We're asking them to now show compassion. Where would they have learned it? You know, and that's got to come from us. We have to lead by example. And so
and a lot of us come with anger and frustration because we're frustrated because our plates are so full and their plates are full as well. I mean, they're navigating life and also what they're dealing with, we didn't. Listen, if social media was around when we were growing up,
oh my gosh. You know how much trouble I would have been in?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
That stuff gives it gives me the listen, listen, I look at my sons now when they're on their phones and I'm like, all right, trust is a whole thing, you know?
Sweat.
But I want to speak to something you said that I don't think a lot of people really understand is that, especially as parents, but not just as parents, but as individuals, we're moving at someone else's pace almost all the time these days, right? And we're moving at a faster and faster pace because we're trying to keep up with the speed of our economy and then everything thereafter. And the systems we live within don't allot space for us to be very human. And so we have to literally get gangster and take those spaces. And that's what this new mental health movement is about to me. It's about us being gangster and saying, you know what? I'm going to look out for me today because no one else will. I'm going to have a conversation with this person I'm in a relationship with because typically I don't have time to do that. I'm going to take a nap today because I don't have time to do that. That's what I think this whole mental health movement is about. And I'm all for it. Emotional health as well. Excuse me.
And it's funny. No, absolutely. Because it's funny. My dad was in town and it made me realize how different we are. My dad's in his 70s. And so I was getting work done at my home. And he's like, I'll come in town. He hadn't seen us in a while because of COVID. He lives in California. And I had to get some work done on the house. He's like, I'll come in. Plus, he wanted to see everyone. It's been a while. But I'll come in so you don't have to miss work. I don't want you missing work. And it clicked me. I said, Dad, I got PTO. What are you talking about? I need to use my time. What are you talking about? So he was like, no, but he's a generation of you white knuckle it. Everything was a weekend project. Everything was on the weekend. And he's coming off of either a 5 day or 6 day work week when we were younger. Anything had to be done in his home was on the weekends.
Yep.
And you don't take time off. My dad was telling me, I've earned this retirement. I used to wake up every morning, never late, at 3:45 in the morning, fix my lunch. Or your mother would fix my lunch and I'll go to work, lunch kit. And my dad worked in construction, pipe fitter and welder. So that's what he was doing. So either he worked in 7/12s or whatever it is, didn't miss a day.
To me, it's not healthy.
It's not healthy. But will he sleep all day now? He's retired?
Yeah. For sure.
But that goes into the fact of that we're now recognizing I am better with wellness. I am better with health. I'm better taking care of myself because many of us give. Like you are a giver. You give a lot of yourself because you didn't get a lot when you were younger. So you give.
You picked that up really quickly, by the way.
I'm good at what I do. I've been doing this before I was doing this. What are you talking about?
Yes, indeed.
But you give because you didn't get that, right? And you're trying to fill these holes by giving to these young men and women that you didn't get. But now you're exhausted. And when you recognize it? When you had them kids.
Yeah.
Kid number one, like, I'm tired. Lawrence, tired.
Well, remember, I had twins. I had the double shot on the first try.
You exhausted.
I've been exhausted.
And you better not be too busy out here and wife at home and wait a minute. This is triple diapers, formula, all that. So now you're like, I'm exhausted, right? Yep. So let me get into you're on a movement of wellness and love and not outsourcing love. Talk to me about that.
So one of my favorite poets, Maya Angelou, she speaks of the importance and the power of self-love. And she has this analogy she uses when she says, be leery of the person who is naked but offers you a shirt, right? How dare you not cover yourself before you offer someone else? And I've just really taken to that, and I didn't understand it before because I always, I come from a very selfish past. Me being the wild child and me being rebellious and angry and resentful, yada yada. So I spent some time really trying to like cover my tracks and put back what I took from the earth, and doing so with the children. So taking breaks just never felt appropriate. But some people started pointing out to me, not only would the students be remiss if I was too sick to come back and honor my commitments, but what about these boys that look up to me? And these guys, we spend a lot of time together. My sons and I are extremely close. We have one-on-one relationships. And when I go down, and sometimes I do, I work myself too much, and I go down, I'll be honest. And they're on top of me like, dude, what's up? Do you need this? Do you need that? And I hate to see them like that. And so it was that, but then it was also my last job, and I won't mention which job it was. When I transitioned from that job to the new job, boy, did they receive me, and boy, did they see me, and they couldn't understand why I didn't see myself. And everyone from my coworkers to my boss to people in the network to the students, they were like amazed that they'd met this gold mine, and I'm like, gold mine? I'm just,
So
I'm just here to do my job.
Syndrome. You had imposter syndrome.
I guess you could say that. Yeah. So I started to hear myself. I started to see myself, and I started to say, you know what? It's okay that I'm different. It's okay that I'm sensitive. It's okay that my feelings get hurt very easily. It's okay that I like to be hugged. It's okay that I like romantic things. It's okay that I like to just chill with my sons. It's okay that I don't fit this stereotype that the black man is supposed to fit or was supposed to fit in these 90 movies and in these 2000 rap videos and all these influences that I was inundated with while I was trying to be raised or raise myself. And then I finally realized, you know what? I'm just going to be me, and whoever likes it, whoever doesn't. But I've met a lot of people, and I've tried to please a lot of people, and I've not been 100% successful ever. And I don't think I ever will be. So why don't I try to please myself a little more? Why don't I just say, hey, you like this book you wrote? Cool. Write another one.
So let me ask you something, because I know, because I'm a black woman and black men are my people, I know how hard it is for black men to get to where you are. You had to find that place of, it's okay for me to feel my feelings. Mm-hmm. It's okay for me, because a friend and I always debate about how men and women are raised differently, because there's so many things right now that bother me that people tend to worry about. Like, y'all understand the root of all this? The root of it is men and women have been raised differently. Men were raised, tough it up, suck it up. I don't care what color you are, where you come from. You suck it up. Boys don't cry. Tough it up. You better work or whatever and provide, and that's it. Keep it tight. Keep it tight. Keep it tight. And women were raised to be a little bit more in tune and in touch, because we had to take care of the children. Make sure your husband's okay. Be aware he needs a space. So we were raised to be aware of everything. None of us are raised to take care of ourselves, but be aware of everything.
You were only raised to take care of yourselves enough to prepare for a child. That's the only way they were raising. That's it.
That's it.
Crazy.
That is it. And after that, so we both have our own pressures when it comes to how we were raised. But now we're all recognizing, I need a break from my own mental wellness. So you're married, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, how was it with all your baggage and all your stuff before the kids came, all that? How was it for you cultivating that relationship with all of what you had going on, with the lack of this and that, and also giving of yourself, and also be able to provide for her, because you're spreading yourself thin. You're teaching, you're doing all these things. How was it for you recognizing also to cultivate that relationship?
So this has been one of the most educational parts of my life in the first place, is trying to be in a serious relationship. prior to being in a marriage and being in a family, first of all, who taught us how to be in relationships when we were
No
younger?
one.
I was watching HBO learning about relationships and Ricky
Yeah.
Lake, so I didn't know the purpose of being in a relationship was to struggle through life together and to experience life together and to have this push pull and sometimes just sit still relationship with one another as you change and then I change and sometimes we do this thing. I didn't understand the whole dance of it. I thought that the dynamic was one dominates the other or they play this cat and mouse game and until they get tired of playing. That's pretty much it. You look at the promiscuity that is spread throughout television and you think, oh, this is the way life is, or entertainment and music, whatever it is, now World Star, video games, you think this is the way life is. And again, your normal's being shaped. But the truth of the matter is these were all marketing techniques to keep people interested and attracted to what they were selling. And we bought into it wholeheartedly. So you go out there and you look for relationships where somebody's hot, right? Or somebody's fun to be around. And relationships form like that. But you don't know to actually sit there and get to know someone and to study their family and to study their habits and to learn them long enough to say, you know what? This is a sacrifice I'm willing to make because you're the type of partner I want. We never learned that. So I learned that on the job. That was on the job training. My wife will sit here and tell you, she was like, I was too young to even know what I was doing. I was too young to even know what I was doing. Right. And so I'm still learning, but the learning process.
Forever lesson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little bit older than you, but I will say I think we had better examples when it comes to media than what is out there right now. At least we had a few better examples of a unit if you want to look at entertainment. Yeah, you had other things. It was still that whole tough dad, no emotions, whatever, but at least sometimes you may have had Uncle Phil break down a little bit. You may have had James Evans break down a little bit. You may have had, Cliff Huxtable break down a little bit. At some point in time, I think we had better examples to look at things, and it kind of got worse and worse.
Oh, please.
Yeah. I only ask that because many times I've realized that when there's a parent lacking in the household, and you're trying to find yourself and what's the example, it takes us a little longer sometimes to cultivate that relationship because you don't know.
Yeah, so we struggled for a while relationship wise because we weren't putting any energy or effort into our relationship. We didn't realize that's where some of our effort was supposed to go. Like I said, we were completely dedicated to building these boys and cultivating a world that they'd feel comfortable exploring and developing in. And we thought, being selfless like this is exactly what we were supposed to be doing. So there were two loves missing. There was a self-love on both of our sides missing, but there was also that love between the two of us missing, right? And so when you have the kids there, it's very difficult to say we're going to put the kids to the side to love ourselves, let alone we're going to put the kids aside and both of us are going to spend time together, right? Because you taking one parent away at a time is okay, but taking both, oh my God, what are we doing? And we also fell into that trap of if we're not around or if we're not influencing the atmosphere, then we're not being good parents. And we had to learn a little better. Like, no, we've done a great job raising these boys so far.
Yeah, and it would do better taking a break.
Right. And it would behoove us and them to give them an opportunity to be independent and try some of that stuff out so we can meet in the middle
and
again.
I only brought that up because I know we're talking about love and cultivating love and showing children love at that pivotal time. But I'm not married, but I am a firm believer in when you are a husband and a wife, you are a husband and a wife, and everything else comes second. If you are not a husband to your wife and your wife is not a wife to you, you know what I mean? How good will you be in the unit? Because if you're having turmoil with each other because you're not making sure your needs are met as a couple, just having that time, it tends to kind of shift. And then you have people who, when the kids leave the house, they're strangers. But you have to still recharge as a couple because we have to be good with each other. We need to make sure we're feeding each other's needs with each other. Like because I like you. You know what I mean? So when we're good, we're going to be better for the family. What's sad is society loves to pass judgment on parents who say, my child does not run our house. We're not going to let these kids run the house. We come first and everything else, because we're good, our kids are going to be good. Because they're going to see healthy. They're going to see that mom and dad, man, they take care of each other. And that's a force. There's no separate parenting going on. That's a unit that I can't break. You know what I mean? Because like you said, kids going to test you.
Oh, they're going to test you. I think it comes from the fact that, like you said, though, there's a lot of unprocessed emotions and unprocessed experiences that happen in our childhood, and we try to correct those or rectify those in our children. And when we feel like we step away from that, we feel like we're falling short of our exact job. And we don't realize that's not our only job. It's to simply correct the wrongs that were in our childhood. We're also supposed to allow them to explore and to learn their own environment too. So stepping away sometimes is very necessary. And I had to be taught that. Because I'm on top of it. Like, nobody's got to take care of my sons. These are my guys. I got them. You know, and it's like, but they could benefit from hearing another voice sometimes, which they do, you know, because shooting from the free throw line, bend your knees, follow through, sounds the same as brush your teeth, make your bed. And after a while, it's enough. I don't want to hear anything from you, dude. Like, that's enough. Give me another voice. So I had to learn that. And in learning that, I also had to learn, you know what? I got to make sure I'm good, because I've got to live long enough to be there to see some of what they're going to do. I can't just run myself ragged. And then I started to realize, but no one's going to do that for me, because everybody's got their own agendas, especially in our capitalist culture. I won't call it our economy because it's a culture. In our capitalist culture, we move at the speed of the dollar. And if you're moving at the speed of the dollar, no one wants to hear that you're too sick to come to work. They will tell you they do. But little do they want to cover for you. Little do they want to tell their client, oh, well, we got to reschedule. They don't want to risk that for you, especially when they feel like everyone's replaceable. So I had to learn that about myself. Oh, you think I'm replaceable? I know I'm not. And I'm going to show you how much I'm not. But the only way I'm going to do that is if I truly express myself and stop trying to express myself through the avenues you're giving me only. Because I can create my own avenues so long as I show myself some love and I appreciate myself. That's it.
So talking about that, because you've had a true journey of learning who you are, finding out who you are, healing parts of yourself, because I think the healing is still a continuous journey. You're still a very young man to go through that. And, you know, your healing continues with your children and also the kids that you mentor. So I want to get to your book and go back to the Baller's Journal. Okay. But I want to talk about your book. So on top of everything else that you have going on in life, because clearly you're not busy enough. You're not busy enough. You have written a book.
Yes.
LaBoyz Presents Haikus and
Things.
Yes. Let's talk about this, because like you said earlier, you've always loved to write, but man, you know, I ain't about to write poetry. What's this? I'm a rapper, you know, I'm about to slang these lyrics. I'm about to do this thing on these beats, right? You know? But poetry is music. Music is poetry. It's always there.
That's right.
So you've now grown out of that foolish mindset. You know what I mean? And now, on top of everything else, you've decided to say, let me go ahead and write a book. So talk to me about your book.
So I've been writing poetry for quite some time, just like I said, behind the scenes. And I think it was about a couple years back, I really started to get back into it because I'd fallen out of love with hip hop, and I still had the urge to express myself. And so whatever came out, and I started thinking in prose, as crazy as that sounds. So whatever I was experiencing, or I would be able to just look out, I'd be on the train. I could write a story about someone. It would come out in a poetry form, or I would listen to I have a network of people who just tell me the craziest stories about their relationships as well. And so I spin these things. I turn them around. I dig deep. I find out what's really going on in these relationships. I write about them. And then, you know, I've seen a lot, and I just started writing, but that wasn't the difficult part. The difficult part was in the back of the book. So just to explain, in the first part of the book, It's just haikus. And that was intentional because we live in a society where the attention span is extremely short now. And so the haiku is just 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And it also challenges you. Can you really give me a deep message in 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5? Can you do that? And so I like that challenge. And then the second part of it is just free form poetry. And the third part of it, I have these rants where I really go on for a while and I assume the identity of another person and I speak from the first person. And a few of them are a bit comedic because I'm a bit of a class clown. That was the other thing I haven't mentioned. I'm a huge class clown. So whenever I get to class, that's one of the reasons why students love to be in my class, is because you don't have to be the class clown. I am. But the final part of the book is actually my favorite. There are 3 free writes in there. And this is really where I've started to like accept myself. The free writes are just that. I just start writing whatever comes out. And if you get a chance to check it out, you'll see they're in the form of an essay. And these are my rawest thoughts. So for me to be this open is completely different. It's a complete departure from everything I've ever done, because even as a teacher, you're still on stage. As a rapper, you're still on stage. And I feel like if I've ever been on stage as myself, it's in this book, right? And this is the start of me truly loving myself, is to accept that even though my opinion may not be popular or may not be the public's opinion, this is me. And I am a product of my experiences. How dare I cheat myself of expression, right? I went through this journey. I'm going to talk about it. It's like when people put you through things and they want you to keep it a secret. I'm not going to keep my life a secret. I'm not going to keep everything I've become a secret, because who does that benefit, really? So this book is just me, right? It doesn't. So this book is just me on page. And it's funny, some of my closer friends and companions have said, I can hear you. I can hear you. Your whole voice, I can hear you.
And so this is an extension of you.
Mm-hmm.
This is your healing. This is your therapy, right? So would you mind sharing from your book?
Okay.
One of your, like, what is, so if I, because my book, I ordered it, it's supposed to be here. So
Okay.
let's say you're telling me, okay, you're trying to sell me to read it. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Erlene, you need to read this book. Elise, read this book. But this is the path. I want you to read this one. This is going to be the haiku to grab you. This is going to be the one to grab you.
Awesome. So I like to play around. So like I said, I'm an artist, so I like to play around sometimes too. So this is a haiku, but it's an extended haiku, as you can see. So it's basically a series of haikus on one page, but they're all a part of one piece. And the cool thing about this is each stanza is its own haiku, and it could be its own poem, but I put them all together. So this one is called "You Missed Out on Me." You missed out on me. I said, you missed out on me. Hello? Never mind. There were times I paused, saw us realistically, and went back to sleep. Suffice it to say, those were dreams interrupted, but fear made me sleep. I lived in visions, perhaps I'd created them. But I wasn't alone. You held me in dreams. I did not just imagine your fleeting caress. Takes 2 to tango, but sometimes 1.5, 1 foot in, 1 out. You danced with me though, whether half in or all in, your touch made it real. Hallucinate? Me? Those are things insane men do, but crazy for you. Maybe I was crazed over the way you loved me, like no one ever. I was love crazy, rather love deprived crazy. I'm sorry, and the cause was your absent heart. You missed out on me. So that's a piece I did, which basically describes the fact that I felt like I was so much more than people were seeing. And I was so much more than people were valuing. And we tend to feel like people miss out on us and it's something we're doing wrong, but we're not in there alone. And I just wanted to talk about the emotions of it and what goes behind it. So that's a cool haiku. Like most of the haikus are just strictly haikus, but I like that because it's different, because it's a bunch of them that are working together in network.
And it's a journey. I think what I like about that particular one that you're reading is, even though they're individual, they flow into each other and tell a true story.
Right. Right.
And exactly. I appreciate you for sharing that. Thank you. Because everyone doesn't like They may write it, but they may not want to read it. But I appreciate you doing that.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because that was very hard for me. I have not performed much of my poetry at all live. But I've done so many rap shows. But if you ask me, do the poetry, I'm like, oh, you want me to read poetry? Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for that. So that's.
I wasn't gonna let you tell me no.
No, I know. Well, I felt that. I felt that from the beginning of the show. Trust me. You notice I didn't even hesitate. I was like, yes, I'm already looking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Indeed. Yeah. So thank you for challenging me, though. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. I can't wait to get it. I ordered it. I thought I had hit send. I went ahead and ordered it. I'm gonna have it. So do you see yourself writing some more books?
Oh, I see myself doing more than that. Way more than that. So I definitely have more. I've already gotten the second book pretty much written. It's just a matter of picking and choosing which poems get to stay and which essays get to stay. I definitely want to work on a family publishing business where we help other people self-publish, because this was self-published. And this self-publishing, it had to be self-published because I'm done fitting into anyone else's mold. I'm done adhering. I'm going to start shaping and creating my own path. And why not? Have I not gone through this entire system and met success? Do I not have the space to now do this? I've gone to college. I've done the teaching thing. I'm raising a family. At what point do you get to be yourself? Right. And so now I want to be myself. And I not only want to be myself, I want to be able to say, I'm going to take care of myself, and I'm going to take this day off. I'm going to do this. So we're working on a family publishing business. I want LaBoyz Presents to be a publishing business where we help other people self-publish.
It's going to happen. It's going to definitely happen. But what I really want to ask you is, that's nice. Okay. But when is the memoir coming?
Ooh. I have pieces that I've written. Those are really personal. And I'm working on more. Stay tuned. I think it'll happen. It's less a matter of if it's created or not, and more a matter of, are you going to let it go? It took me a while to let this go. And one of my friends said, art belongs on walls and not in your safe. So
yeah, but the scary part of art is once it's out there.
It's out there.
Once you put anything out there, anything, you now have given the world liberty to comment, and you cannot control what the response will be. You cannot control the reaction. You can't control what they're going to say, and you cannot control how they interpret it.
Yep.
Because once you put it out there, art is all about interpretation. Whatever I feel is whatever I see. You can't, oh no, you're wrong. But how art is art.
Right.
So, that's the hardest part I think many artists struggle with, because so many artists have these works that they've never released because, it's not finished. Is it not finished, or are you just fearful of what people are going to say or how they're going to take it because they may not understand it? And if it's very personal, that's a hard one. Like, what's hard for me is I hate people interviewing me. I'll do it out of common courtesy because
you sound like you'd be great.
Someone interviewing me?
Yeah, sounds like it'd be easy.
It's not easy. Because one, I do not feel anyone wants to hear what I have to say about me. That's the younger child issue that I have. I'm the youngest of four, and the age gap is big. From the Caribbean, so we're loud and we're boisterous and all those things. And when you grow up and someone's always over talking you or cutting you off, you tend to, I don't shrink because I'm pretty loud when I walk into a room without saying a word. And that's not me being arrogant, but I recognize that, right? But I've learned to, when I have to say something, I'm going to say it, and then I'm done. So I think about it, I process it, I read the room, I read the people in the room, and then I respond. But I don't have to be the center. I don't have to be that person at all, but I'll speak. and go away, because I do not feel anyone wants to hear what I have to say, or why do you want to hear what I have to say? Because I'm waiting to be interrupted. I'm waiting to be shut down.
And that
So
I have one of my biggest pet peeves is when people interrupt me when I speak because I have a huge stuttering problem, right? And shout out to the Lewis family, all the men on my side, my mother's side of the family do. And so that waiting for someone to cut you off, people don't understand the anxiety that develops in you, and then it can shut you down. You don't even want to jump into that pool of water if you think somebody's going to turn the heat up and cut you off, So I'm with you on that. I still think it would probably be amazing to hear you speak about your own story, because you just have a way of saying things, and you make your guests very comfortable in a space that's like, it's cool to be myself. And so if anybody could get you there, I think that would be an interesting interview. That'd be awesome.
I just fidget thinking about it. Thank you, because my whole idea of doing this was I wanted to bring back authentic, real conversation in a safe space.
Yeah.
In the sense of, you come to my house, I'm going to cook you an amazing meal, lay on my couch, pick your feet up, bring some drinks, and let's talk.
Yes.
And I'm not going to judge you. We'll have a conversation, but I'm not going to be defensively listening. I'm not going to flinch when you say something. We'll crack jokes, but I want people to feel comfortable in being themselves, because the idea of Black people in society is that we do not have these conversations. We do not feel what you feel, and we're not civilized because media has sensationalized what I can't stand. Reality TV, all the negative, because media thrives on the negative. Plain it, you can be anything. If it's negative, it's going to be out there. And so, yeah, we have a good time. We're going to make a joke out of sorrow, because before I cry, let me laugh. But I wanted to really bring back the conversations of wellness, about relationships, because we do it and we talk about it all the time. It can be in the barbershop, the beauty salon. We can have a family get together in the kitchen. I'm cooking, and it just starts that way. So that's what I wanted to bring back, was a safe space. People can come here and not worry about being judged or being uncomfortable. I want you to be comfortable when you're here.
I feel that.
So with all of that, because it ain't about me, stop it. With all of that, let's go back to, so you're a teacher for the young minds. Bless you. Okay.
Thank you.
Bless you. You're a mentor. You have your basketball for the young men and women, all of that. And so you and a friend started a magazine, an online magazine,
yes.
The Baller's Journal, correct?
Yes.
So, and that was because you wanted to have a bigger reach and showcase the amazing thing these young kids have out there. And also, go ahead.
No, and the coaches and the league owners and the parents. It's not just about the children. It's about everybody involved. It's all hands on deck. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you've taken that, though, and you also now have a podcast.
Yes.
Okay. Because clearly life is not busy enough.
Right.
So you have a podcast. And so let's talk about your podcast. What made you and your partner, Aaron,
yes.
Aaron, say, listen, let's do this.
We
let's have a podcast. Let's do this.
This was honestly, this is by popular demand. We were doing these skits to advertise each article that we were putting out, and people were getting a kick out of our interactions, and they wanted to see us live. And one show in, two shows in, we were basically just parents discussing the issues we'd witnessed and been a part of with our kids on the basketball scene or just in the world. And then we started to discuss the local scene and how we're trying to raise our kids in the local scene. Then it just ballooned into discussing the world. And we got on this show, and just two regular people who have so much love for their community and want to create a space for their own kids just get on here and we chop it up. And most of the time we agree, and sometimes we flat out disagree. And you can see the cultural differences between the two of us, which I think will play out even more in the future as we're both getting deeper into our own personal journeys. We're starting to
Right.
see where we bump heads more, and the surface is giving way to what's really underneath. And I think it will be a journey that people will continue to want to see. And so even starting from the beginning or starting in the middle of it, people will see that, wow, this is, for all intents and purposes, this is some of the stuff we talk about on a regular basis, but no one else talks about, because this isn't about the major money market, right? This isn't about major politics. These are just regular people who have seen some things and may not have as much representation. And so this is the show. I'm proud to present Beyond the Journal. We love this show.
I've listened, I've watched. I was sitting at my desk, and I'm like,
Thank
look
you.
at this. I like the dynamic. I love the fluidity of it. I like that it's not just this or that. Like you said, and you do recognize the differences in some conversations where she will not understand and you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the clashing, the butting of the heads. And so I've been trying to go through all of them from beginning to end, from the intro on. I like to catch things at the very beginning to see the growth and see the progression of because the comfort gets better and better as you do it, right? So as comfortable as you are, classroom is one thing, mentoring, that's that more intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Was it hard for you to make this transition to actually do this? Because to me, your posture kind of changes. Each episode is a little bit different, more comfortable. How hard was it for you to go into this realm?
So when you said, when you put your art out there, it's out there for people to interpret it, and you don't really have a say so in it. It's left to defend itself, right? Once you put it out there, and I never liked that idea. Personally, I feel like people have too much access to their celebrities and to the people that they like to watch and to the people who create the art that they enjoy. I think we now have too much access. And I've always said that there need to be boundaries created. And now here I come putting myself out there even more, right? And we have this discussion on the air. And my partner's like, well, what do you expect? People are going to watch you if you're out there. And I'm like, but people need to watch with some responsibility and understand that these are humans, not just subjects to be studied. And we bump heads on this. And I know I'm fighting a losing battle in this, because the more I put myself out there, the more people are going to want to know, how did you become this? And what does it take to sustain this, right? And what do you do on a daily basis? And as public as I seem, I'm actually really private. When I come home, my neighbors, I know my neighbors, don't get me wrong, but when I come home, I'm inside a lot. And we have been fortunate enough. We have a pool in the backyard. We have a ping pong table. We have space. We have a nice space out back and out front. And I come home. I come home and I'm inside. I've fought all day just to be in this piece and in this space. So I'm very private. And then I don't like for people to. I don't have much company. Like, my wife will invite company over all the time. I don't have much company, and it's not because I hate people. But I really appreciate my space from people, because I give so much of myself. And then when I come back and I recharge, I like to just,
I am the exact same way. Listen, I have to allocate that time. If I do an event and the event's like a 4 or 5 hour event, I tell everyone, hey, you're not going to hear from me for about 48 hours. And they didn't believe me. They didn't believe me when I said that. I said, hey, listen, no. I am an introvert. I'm actually, people don't believe me. I am shy and I'm an introvert. I can do what I have to do. If I know I have to be on, I'm going to be on. That's great. I am that person.
Right.
I'm going to give you me. I give you me. But when it's time for me to recharge, you need to give me that time.
Right.
You need to allow me. So I was stuck in Chicago in 2019 with some friends. We went to a conference, and the snow came. The day I needed to leave, it started snowing. I'm thinking, I had never seen that much snow before in my life. Okay. I'm from Texas, and I'm thinking, it's beautiful. It was just little flurries. Like, oh, this is great. I took photos, but I'm like,
all right now. Okay.
You acting up. Cut it out. And so I'm about to leave, and I'm checking, and flight is just getting delayed, then canceled. and I'm stuck an extra day in Chicago. And make it worse, Game of Thrones was a Sunday.
Oh no.
I need my alone time. Leave me alone. I need to, because if you don't watch it, I'm not trying to explain it to you. I'm that person when I'm watching sports or a movie. If you don't understand, you better wait till intermission. Don't come in here asking what's happening. I am focused, right? I'm focused.
Yes.
Lawrence, leave me alone. I'm focused. So I'm stuck with all these people, and they're like, "Oh my God, let's get a bottle of wine." I'm thinking,
no.
So I'm already quiet. My bags are packed. I'm sitting down. I'm on my phone. I'm friendly. No, but I'm done. And they said, "This is what it is." I said, "What? You've already." I said, "No, I gave y'all 4 days.
That's right.
This was the day to leave."
That's right.
And now I'm stuck because I can't help it, but I just need, you can talk all you want, just don't talk to me.
But we pour, I feel you, we pour so much from the cup, and then you want more. This is another reason why I don't like surprise company either, because I'm in my space right now, right? I didn't know I was supposed to be on. I got to be on. You're supposed to give me notice that I got to be on.
Don't pop up on me. Unless you're family, don't pop up on me.
Even then it's dicey.
Listen, we have access to each other. They can just pop in a code and get in. I'm like, y'all need to. But no, I agree with you. So I love the fact where I live, you just can't roll by my house. You have to actually make an effort to come here. So you just can't be, "Hey, what do you mean, hey?"
Hey.
I have on many occasions not opened the door. That's a whole other conversation, Lawrence.
Oh no,
because I never overstay my welcome. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from, but I tend to, if I go to a function, I drive myself. I work the room. Okay, I'm about to go. I never overstay my welcome. I know, because you're not going to ever say, Erlene, Elise, man, she's still here. I don't know. I don't know what. I guess I've heard those conversations before.
I've been that conversation though. I've been the burden. When like I said, when I was a wild child, my mother kicked me out the house at 21. And when my mother kicked me out, she kicked me out. I was in a bad way in the first place. I was coming back from a trip on crutches. I had broken a toe playing ball downtown in Virginia, visiting my girlfriend during spring break. Mind you, this is spring break. I'm home from college. I was going to college in Ohio. I was home for a couple of weeks. So I come home, I take a trip down south for a couple of days. I come back, broken toe, duffel bag, crutches, took the bus. She kicked me out as soon as I came back in the house. So I got kicked out of the house. I left with garbage bags, as much of the stuff as I could grab. And from that point on, through college and after college, I was staying in different people's places. Even when I got back to college campus my senior year, I was on a full scholarship, an academic scholarship. And because my mother didn't fill out the forms after kicking me out, she didn't want anything to do with me. I arrived on campus. I had nowhere to stay. I wasn't even enrolled. So I'd been bouncing around, staying from place to place. And I'd heard that conversation like, "You got to go." And I'm like, I don't have anywhere to go. So I had to stay in some places that I didn't want to stay in either. So I'm very big on, I got my own space. I'm gonna just chill here. I'm good.
And I've never had anyone feel that way about me, but I've heard it. Or people are just ugly who really aren't genuine friends to either family member. I've heard it. And then that hardened me to where I was considered mean. Yeah. Like, there she is, don't, because I will say what I have to say. If it cuts you, if I have to DDT you with words, you're going to get this DDT. If I have to top rope you and I'm done, because once I say it, I'm done.
See, so I don't know how you can speak so freely. I'm still learning that. Like I've been trained. Yeah, I've been trained to believe that my words are so sharp that I'm a bully when I finally defend myself, or I go overboard when I finally defend myself. But I'm always like, how do you get to dictate my reaction to your disrespect to me? You've hurt my feelings. You've done something to me, and then when I respond, it's always worse. So I typically have to like filter my responses so as not to be seen as like this big bad monster.
I have my share of trauma and issues, to where I have been considered by family, oh, that was harsh. And so I learned a long time ago, I just don't share my opinion just to share my opinion. So I asked people, do you want my opinion? Do you want me to listen? But for me, I've been raised, my mom raised me to be free and say what you have to say, but I also say it in a way that is respectful. But I'm still going to say what I have to say. And so my mom was a seamstress growing up.
Oh, my mom too.
I experienced very young, and I was the one helping her bead stuff, do all these things, where they didn't want to pay for the quality of work that she was giving and felt it was okay. So I became a bodyguard. I became the person where you're not getting this until you pay. And being from the Caribbean, okay, it's a different kind of culture of, mind your business. You don't speak. Why your mouth in my face? Why you looking in my mouth when I'm, you a child's place? But I also learned you're not going to take advantage of my mom.
Right.
You're not going to do this. So being the youngest, and my sister gave my mom a little bit of heck, and my mom didn't put up with it. So I was like, I don't ever want her mad at me. So it's not going to happen. And being so young, because I'm the youngest of four. So my oldest brother and I are 20 years apart. Then my other brother, we're 8 years apart. Sister 7 years apart. Then there's me.
Wow.
And so you get talked over, but I'm seeing my mom get taken advantage of, or they're trying to. And she's like, I'm not having it. So I was the one who was like the period. No. Because she was like, it's their wedding. Let's have the dress. I guess they're not getting married today, mommy. So I would be the little kid, was like, no. Unless you give my mom what she's owed, you're not getting this dress.
Right. Wow.
And so I was that person. And so I did it because you're not going to be disrespectful. You're not going to be rude. No problem. But what kind of child? Then my mom don't talk to my child that way. Wow. I said, you have something. I was the one who I saw advantage and I saw this stuff happening and I don't like it. So I had to say something. So I learned a long time ago, you can say what you have to say in the most respectful way. And people have not liked what I had to say. I'm not going to be polite when I know you're being disrespectful. I don't believe in taking on your burden. So you had a bad day. You have something going on and I don't know. So now you probably met people who they're going through a lot, right? But everybody's feeling it. Well, that's their frame of reference. If I didn't do it to you, how dare you put upon me your frustration? I've done too much work on myself to allow you to still be in your sorrow, but be an adult enough to say, you know what, I'm going through something. Then you know what I'm going to do? I'm here. Okay, no problem.
Yep.
But because you going through something, what gives you the liberty to be ugly towards me? Because you going through something.
You're right.
I believe in self-love. I believe in, I don't sugarcoat. That's my issue with a lot of things. Now society in this world right now are so tender.
Yeah.
And their skin is so thin.
Yep.
And we're raising kids the same way. So they're not understanding everyone doesn't win. Everyone's not going to like you. Now all of a sudden, like this photo from my daughter because people didn't like her outfit in school, so like it. So you want to look at that. I have never been taught to look for validation outside of myself.
No, you can't.
I've never been taught that. My mother shouted,
No, I'm saying, they're being raised in that though.
And that bothers me. That's a whole nother conversation. So I wasn't raised that way. I was raised, my mom made me feel loved and important and said no matter what, this or that, I knew. So I felt that. So I never looked for it anywhere else. But I also knew I had work to be done on myself. I did the work on myself a long time ago. But I also knew that I can say what I have to say. And if it cuts you, it cuts you, because the truth hurts. But I'm not going to be ugly about it, but you're not going to walk over me.
I've had this conversation with some of my female coworkers of color, and we've had this conversation where they feel the same way, and I say what I say, and they're like, you know, I could see how you would be seen or perceived as intimidating. And to me, that's always funny because like I said, I'm the class clown and I like to make people comfortable. But as soon as I start to voice an opinion that dissents from the group, people start to see me as like, oh, now he's scary, or he's being rebellious, or this could get a little crazy because he's raising his voice. And I'm like, I know exactly what I come from in the street. And I also know we're not going to put anybody in those types of positions. So why are y'all scared? You know what I mean? Like, what are we really doing? We're just having words.
The problem that I have with it is I'm tired of, and I don't even engage. I don't even engage in it. I'm tired of being a Black woman considered anything that's above an octave, or I'm asserting I'm letting you know I'm standing in my truth, and I'm standing in my knowledge. I'm angry, or you're assertive, you're this. First of all, stop it. You're not going to intimidate me, because I know what you're doing. Yep. And what bothers me is when you have Black men who co-sign on that as well. Listen, don't do that. Does not fight in company. Why are we fighting in front of the company? This needs to be behind the doors conversation. Stop telling me I'm too much, because my too muchness has saved your life on many occasions.
Yes.
My too muchness has been side by side with you in the war, in the battle. My too muchness has raised your children when you were not able to, because you either were working or away. My too muchness has saved life. That's why on the backs of movements, they try to use my back on the back of movement. Everything concerning a white woman, she's put a Black face there because she knows if you put that Black woman, it's going to get done. So my too muchness is your problem, not mine.
But you know, it stems from us being put into this position where we have to make other people feel comfortable and safe. I say this all the time. White fear is the Black burden in America.
Oh God, yeah.
Right. And I think it plays out in ways that we don't fully understand so much. And it's everything from, why are you so loud in this function? I went out to dinner with a group of friends in my basketball community out in North Carolina. We went to this really wealthy place. The steak I had was about $60. I would not have ordered it if I was the one paying for it. Let's just put it that way. But we didn't know we were away on this basketball trip. So we brought all basketball stuff. So I'm wearing a full sweatsuit, Nike Tech suit. My boy's wearing, we walk in looking like we came from watching a game, and the people are just staring at us, and we walk in with our kids. Now our kids sit at their own table. And we have a table about 9 to 11 young men. The oldest young men are my sons, 11. Everybody else is 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. And they're all sitting there. Not a problem the entire time. Us, not a problem the entire time. And I sat there at one point and I said to myself, why am I so conscious of the eyes on me? And why am I so conscious of my table's volume when I know this table behind me is not at all? Why do I have to be conscious? And I'm constantly asking myself, why do I have to be this? Why do I have to be that? Why do I have to be this? And if the answer is to make someone else comfortable, and that's not a two-way street, oh no, that's not what we're doing anymore. That's not what we're doing.
Because I said a long time ago, I told my boss, my director, last year, I said, I am not in the business of explaining to white people any issues. I'm not going to be the splainer. I'm not splaining anything.
I understand.
She was like, I said, I'm not. In my space, I'm the only Black librarian in the building. Mm-hmm. In my space, there's 4 Black people who work in the building.
Right.
Yes, 4 Black people who work in the building, but I'm the only one of a supervisory capacity. And when things happen, Arlene, did you see? Yeah, I saw. Yeah, okay. I'm in a town where we've had police brutality and violence. We've been national news. All these things, and I have stopped. I'm not explaining to white people what's going on because I think you need to explain to your own people what's going on. I can't. I'm not, because when I explain it, someone's gonna say, "Well, racism and this and that." I know me. I'm a very calm individual.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to waste my energy and breath, because what it's going to turn into is, now when something happens, now you're uncomfortable. Now I'm like, are you okay? I'm not asking you if you're okay.
Right, because this wasn't about you in the first place.
I'm not asking you if you're okay. I'm not going to. And
Right.
Black people, there's this stereotype, and that, granted, everyone has the stereotype, whatever it is. But why do I have to be so mindful? Why do I have to make sure I'm always, as a Black woman, my hair is done, my makeup, I look presentable, so you can recognize that I am of importance? I may not want to walk around in some yoga pants and flip flops sometimes. I mean, let me be. But we have to be so, because we've always been taught that. That's been embedded in us, to be a certain way so you can be accepted. They're not ever going to accept us.
But also, you have to understand what acceptance means. Even our use of the word civilized. The word civilized came about because it was an antonym to the word barbarian, right? It was a split back in the ancient Roman times. So when you talk about civilized, it was like, who lives like us? And if you don't live like us, then you're the other thing. And so when they arrive in Africa and they see these quote unquote savages, or they arrive in the North America, and what is now North America, and they see these quote unquote savages, the Lenape tribe, they see them and they're like, yo, they're not wearing any clothes, but they can also survive in the cold. As peculiar as that is, we don't want to learn about it. We just want to judge them and move them to the side. So now anyone who lives like us is on this side. Anyone who lives like them is on the other side. And they still live like that. They still live like that as a culture. It's like, you have to adhere to what we deem is civilized, or we see you as savages. And that's crazy to me, how long that sentiment can last and carry on. It's wild.
And that's my issue with us, because we're picking the wrong battle, and we're keeping ourselves divided. And so when let's talk about relationships. Mm-hmm. When you hear us be negative towards us, well, I don't like Black women because they're too. Where's that come from? You remember at one point in time, I may be too, but somebody was leaving their wife in their master quarter coming down because I was too. Okay? But right. when you think someone else is a prize because now I acquired it, now I'm accepted, you are taking on a European mentality of what you think of us.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So I can't.
But
so I just ignore.
You know exactly why that happens, though, because we feel like, and I'm not saying we as in I join in, but we as a people feel like our survival is on the line, right? And so we look at this whole setup like we're all down here in this consumer class, and we're waiting to be selected and pulled into the ownership class for whatever reasons, maybe our talent, our intelligence, whatever they can exhaust from us, right? And so we try to make sure we're very polished and shiny looking, and we can't get too close to the rough things that remind them of, there are people that don't live like y'all live up there, but I'm not one of them. So select me. And could you not act like that? And so we start to judge each other. And you know what we don't realize? We're the resource. Their job is to exploit resources and to own resources. That's why the earth is looking the way it's looking, because they've gone mad trying to survive and trying to overconsume and then save for themselves and keep for themselves so they can never run out, because they have this fear of scarcity. And so we live within their fear. Everything they've created because of fear, we live within, and we don't see that we destroy each other trying to make our way up when really we're the resource. So if we could realize we're the resource, honor that resource, network with one another, which is what also I'm working on right now. If we could start networking with one another, using each other in mutual ways instead of these one-way streets where they throw money at us and we think that's what's enough value for what we're bringing to the table, which is crazy to me. If we could do that here horizontally a lot more, then we could move vertically as a people. But it seems like we individually want to grow through these silos and then judge my sister or judge my brother for being too black or being too ethnic.
But this is where it comes from. Think about where it comes from. We all have this embedded, I think trauma is used way too much, but I'm going to say it. We have this embedded trauma, right? You think about, we were based, once we were brought here, it's all about survival, right? We got to survive.
Yes.
How many of us have heard, or our parents have heard, when you get out, don't come back.
That's right.
Don't come back. Our great-grandparents, grandparents were bleeding, hands bleeding, working. Don't come back here. Forget us. Don't come back here. Fit in. Make it, because we were lied to thinking if you just have this, you'll be accepted. That was a lie.
That's a lie.
If you do this, so we thought we'll acquire a vehicle, acquire a car. Now, like the Jeffersons, he left one place to move in a high rise. Why you didn't accept me? You still a black man. It doesn't matter. Now they mad because you have it. So then you have people mad at you because you can afford what I couldn't afford. And then other cultures have been taught that we are the bottom of the barrel as Black people, so we're not someone you want to be like or be around. But we were taught a survival skill of once you acquire, you leave. Once I have put you to school and sent you away, you leave. You marry up, you leave, you don't look back.
Right.
And you don't reach back. Don't move back here. Why are you here? Why you came back here? But you'll never be accepted in those spaces. But once we recognize that we have been taught, and we keep carrying that. We may not say it, but we still do it to this day. We want the bigger homes. We want the bigger car. We're showing what we got. And we will still be stopped at the gated entrance by someone who doesn't even live in that area, but he worked that gate and can't afford nothing in here. But because you don't look a certain way, we're still getting stopped.
Yep.
Or our kids are being stopped.
Yep.
Or our husbands are being stopped.
Yep. And that's because we're not putting each other in those positions of power. I'm sorry, not positions of power, because we all have power. In those positions of authority, we're not empowering one another. What we're doing is we outsource way too much. For example, I wear a whole bunch of Nike. I would love to, but I also wear a whole bunch of name brands from people I know who have clothing lines, right? We have to endorse each other. We have to advertise one another. We have to patronize one another, but we also have to provide services for one another that are worth it. So we have to encourage each other to meet our own standards, to meet our own high standards. There's a lot we have to do, and it's not just boycott the white man. We also have to boycott certain ideologies that we've borrowed from the white man. That's what we really have to boycott. We have to see each other more. And that relationship is not just male-female. It's male to male, and it's female to female, very much so too. We have to accept that everybody's different. And who better than us to accept that everybody's different? Because we've, as you say, that word trauma, we've run the gauntlet of traumas, and yet we are still sharing in the pain and the burden of white fear. How dare we not pull each other up now? How dare we not boost each other? We've all been through it. People who struggle together, that means a lot. You ask any team. All right. So I don't believe in putting my sister down because she's too loud, or putting my brother down because he's too loud, or his pants are too big, or because he doesn't want to shave his goatee, or what. I don't care. I care about the soul you bring to the table. I care about the effort you bring to the table. Are you a good person? Do you take care of yourself? Are you about this community? So let's be about this community together. I'm all about that. Let's build a network.
Like Terry said, I'm building my own table. Like me doing this, I do not want to be a part of a network. I do not want to be. Somebody said, "What do you want?" I said, "I'm not trying to get huge names. I don't want anyone trying to tell me what I can and can't do. I don't know. I'll shut this down." I created this for the simple fact of I may have a variety of people, but I want to have a safe space. This is my safe space. That's why I don't really do much sponsorship, because I'm not going to have anyone limit what I can and can't say because I am attached to your no. I'm not doing that. And if I sponsor, it'll be free. No, because you're not going to tell what I can and can't say. Because I'm building this table, I'm building this platform, I'm building this legacy, not just for myself, but for everyone who looks like me, who wants to have the idea. That's why I love helping other people build their own and not have to bleed money or whatever, because there's enough out here for all of us to eat. It shouldn't have to be a battle, no matter how loud we are, how quiet we are.
Yep. One of my friends said, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. One of your friends said what?
No, the last thing, one of my friends said, I think in order for the idea I have is to build this network. And there's much more to this idea that I can't necessarily share publicly, but it's a network for us. And he says one way the only way that's going to work is for people who gain access. If they cannot necessarily use the access to propel themselves forward, they will at least leave the doors open for other people who can come through. And I hope anyone listening understands that that's what needs to happen for us to move forward. And I think we need to understand Black intersectionality is a real thing, and we need to make it happen, and we need to make it known, and we need to make it us. And so that's what I'll say, and I'll leave it at that. But you asked me about my next moves beyond my own personal endeavors. I'm trying to build this network because, again, I'm still creating a space for the kids.
Absolutely. And we have said a lot.
Yes.
And we could say so much more.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, we went there, huh?
Yeah.
We can say so much more. So I would definitely want to say, before I let you go, we got the Ballers Journal, your online magazine.
Yes. And you can check it out on Instagram at _ballers_journal on Instagram for sure.
Absolutely. And then you have your podcast.
Beyond the Journal. Yep. Beyond the Journal is beyond_the_journal at Instagram. Yep. And then we got the book.
We have the book. So let me get there.
Yes.
So I'll make sure we get all of that. And you have 32 episodes right now, I think, right? Total.
Yes.
On your podcast.
Yes.
Awesome. And let me get your book up here as well. Got me working hard today.
Yeah. Yeah.
LaBoyz Present Haikus and Things. So this is your book. We have more coming.
Yes.
It's amazing. I love the excerpt that you read for us. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You have more books coming. Lawrence, let me say, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been an honor. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. No, because I just people want to be on. I'm like, you really want to be on the show? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really? And I go through, because I really want to make sure I do you justice. I want to make sure that it's a benefit for you in some way. You know what I mean? So I am honored to have you on because you're doing amazing things.
Thank you.
You have a true story, a true journey that's continuing. There's still some healing going on. The book is an example of that. It's another extension of your healing, but your mentoring, your coaching, showing love that you didn't get, and having the ability to do that alone is amazing. And being able to cultivate relationships and still be your authentic self and your honest self. We need to see that. We need to see Black men doing that, doing the work, utilizing all the tools and benefits that there are, and also reaching out to others and knowing that you can't do it by yourself. I truly appreciate you completely for all that you're doing. I will keep my eye out on all of it. I am going to continue listening to your podcast. I have to keep going because I didn't get a chance to make all of them, all the podcasts, and your book is on this way. I'm going to dig deep into that. I will definitely need to have you on when all your other endeavors unfold.
Let's do it.
You're welcome. You're part of my family now, so you're welcome to come on anytime. You can email me, hit me, and say, "Hey, Elise, I need to come on." I'm like, "Okay,
all right,
let's set it up. Make sure you're not working too hard. You're stressing yourself too soon."
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Once again, though, please tell us where we can find you.
All right, so I'm very active on Instagram. You can find me at LaBoy. It looks like LaBoy, so it's LaBoy underscore RAYSOR. That's LaBoy underscore Raysor. I even do a morning segment every weekday morning on the way with Raysor. So you can catch up with me, find out everything I'm doing on that page. And yeah, I look forward to meeting new people, and hopefully they're people I can build with.
Absolutely. And so please make sure everyone follow Lawrence, get his book, follow his pages. He has LA Boy, then he has Beyond the Journal podcast page, and he has LA Boy Instagram page. So they have two Instagrams to follow. Subscribe to the magazine, sir.
Yep. And the Ballers Journal Instagram.
And the Ballers Journal. Absolutely. It's a lot going on. So it's a lot.
Well, it's also, there's also one more I didn't mention. I have my poetry page where I just put poems, and it's LR the Poet. Yeah, I do a lot.
Woo!
I'm trying to make my mama proud.
Hey, you already did it. You've already done that. So you're not trying, you're doing it. And you're making your children, your wife proud. The legacy you're building is going to be amazing. So everyone, please follow all that. I'll make sure all of this is in the show description, and they'll be up on the page as well. Make sure you follow my show, Shall You Proceed. I am on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Amazon, all those things, and also on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I also do a little tickety-tock. You know what I do? Like the young kids, a little tickety-tock. But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. I acknowledge you. This is amazing. I am so thankful you came on, and we must do this again for other things, okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
You are so welcome.